It's the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 154. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. We're excited for this week's show as we have one of college hockey's best players, a winner of the gold medal at the World Juniors this past Sunday in Ottawa, and maybe the fastest skater in the country. Golden Gopher sophomore Oliver Moore is our guest this week, and we have a lot to discuss with the star Golden Gopher forward. Our Go Gopher Podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. Get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Hey, make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union is also a big sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast. Life math is complicated, and Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union makes it easier with local financial experts available to help in person or virtually. You can go to affinityplus.org/GoGophers for more info. And we'd also like to thank Affinity Plus for sponsoring our player profile segment with today's guest, Oliver Moore. Oliver will receive a gift card for his appearance courtesy of Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. Longtime Gopher sports supporter, Cub is a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm. In a hurry? Don't worry. Cub delivers. Get fresh meat, produce, everyday essentials, and more delivered to your door. Cub is the official grocer of the Golden Gophers and proud to support Gopher athletics for over 20 years. The Go Gopher Podcast is also presented by OnX Maps. Find out how to download the OnX Fish app for free by listening to this week's Go Gopher Podcast. We're podcasting episode 154 from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We invite you to subscribe to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to do so. You can go back and listen to previous Go Gopher podcasts as well. Last week, for example, we did the podcast from Charlotte, North Carolina, getting ready for the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which the Gophers won 24-10 over Virginia Tech. Our guest was tight end Jamison Gears. He was terrific. Go back and have a listen. Still a lot of timely content in that interview. This week, we're talking Golden Gopher hockey with the Golden Oliver Moore. Golden as in gold medal. He'll join me next.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
When we say that Cub milk is the freshest in town, we mean it. Less than 48 hours from farm to store fresh. We guarantee 7 days or more of freshness. It all starts with local dairy farmers who take great care in making sure all the cows are happy and healthy. We support local farm families 365 days a year. And that makes our milk even more delicious. So you always get the freshest milk and the biggest smiles.
It's episode 154. It's the Go Gopher Podcast. We have one of the newest gold medalists, and he's a repeat gold medalist, Gopher hockey star Oliver Moore, with us here in our studio. And Oliver, good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You've had a whirlwind couple of weeks here.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Not a lot of sleep the last couple nights, but no, it's been a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, as we record, we're after your practice with the Gophers on Wednesday. How are the legs right now after playing a string of games in Ottawa in the World Juniors, which we're going to talk about? You guys got back, what, Monday afternoon late?
Yep. Yeah, late Monday afternoon, but I mean, the legs feel good. I'm just ready. I'm just excited, honestly. Got pretty juiced for the second half with the guys, and yeah, I mean, we got a special group and we got a chance to do something, pretty cool. So I'm excited.
You guys are ranked third. You're 17-3-1 on the year. Talking about the Gophers now, and you're right. You're kind of hitting now after World Juniors. That's kind of the signal into the rest of the stretch here, and this long season that starts in October, and you guys are hoping it goes all the way into April at this point. Well, let's talk World Juniors first, because this is so cool. You now are you're the only Gopher. Think of all the great Gophers that have played in the World Juniors, that have played in all kinds of things. You're the only Gopher that's won 2 gold medals in the World Juniors. You won it last year with a couple of Gophers. You won it this year with Zemer. How's that? Well, I mean, think about that. When they list all these great accolades, you're the only guy to win two.
Yeah, I think it just shows, my great upbringing, and I think obviously, like you said, it's pretty special. There's a lot of great Gophers who've came through, obviously, and who've played in the World Juniors, but I had the opportunity to play in it twice and was fortunate enough to be on two pretty great teams. So, it's pretty cool to hear that for sure. I didn't really know that until I got back, but it's pretty cool.
And it's always a competitive World Juniors. It'll be the 50th next year here in the Twin Cities. 3M Arena at Mariucci will host some things. The X will host the big time, the gold medal games, most of the U.S. games, all that stuff. So we know about the event, and it's so cool. What do you think it is about U.S. hockey that has allowed them to elevate, let's say, in the last decade or so, to where it used to be Canada, Russia, what have you, and they're still good. They're still in the mix, but the U.S. is they were basically the favorite coming in. You guys held up your end of the bargain and won it. What do you think U.S. hockey's got going for them right now? Yeah,
I think it's just a lot. I think with the National Team Development Program, obviously that program's great, and it gives us kind of an advantage a little bit almost. You'll be able to play with a core group of guys for 2 years before you even touch the World Junior ice sheet. So, that's obviously a huge advantage. And I think another thing is just watching the great NHL players that are now in the league. You got like the Jack Hugheses, Zach Werenski's, the Austin Matthews, even when Phil Kessel was playing in the World Junior, like it's just really cool to watch those guys, and I think that they're inspiring a lot of the younger generation to, pick up a hockey stick and go to the World Junior and be competitive. So,
how much pride did you take in representing the state, not just the Gophers, but the state of Minnesota? You look at that; it's a 25-man roster, 9 guys. You and 8 of your teammates are from here. Now, there were 2 Gophers, there's 2 Huskies, there's 2 Bulldogs, there's a Notre Dame guy, there's a Western Michigan, the goalie from Warroad, and I'm probably forgetting Wisconsin. Yep. We like to forget about the Badgers around here anyway. But hey, exactly. But you get 9. You get 9 Minnesotans out of 25. That's what's that say about Minnesota hockey? Just the state of hockey.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think 9 guys. That's like almost half the roster. So I think just the state of hockey is always breeding talent, and it just continues, and it's cool to see. And whether they're going to the Gophers or UMD, I think we've had a ton of in-state rivals this year already, and it's just fun playing those guys and seeing them play kind of for their hometowns. It's always a dream come true, and then to represent your state on the international stages, it's the best thing you could do. So it's awesome.
You think about Minnesota hockey in general, and again, I'm talking the state. Gophers, of course, are included in this culture of hockey, but it's one of the to me, it's the impressive part about it. Like, you go to a Frozen Four, and you look at the 4 teams in there, and it's littered with guys from Minnesota. I mean, there's guys from Massachusetts, Michigan, Colorado, Illinois, wherever. There's now some dudes coming in, like Nyes from Arizona. You got some Californians that are doing it as well. But generally, Minnesota, this hockey culture, one of the things, so I'm not from here. I moved into this state 19 years ago. Okay. And one of the things that captured me, that it just was just so foreign, and I'll ask you about this, is the importance that's placed on hockey at a young age. Like, you're getting on skates when you're 2 and 3 years old. You're 9 years old, and the only time you might be able to get ice is 10 at night. 9 years old, no biggie. We're gonna skate. One of my son did not play hockey, but he had some friends who did, and I was always amazed at how many Fridays of school they missed.
Oh yeah,
because you're going to Fargo or you're going to Duluth. It's a tournament, and I'm like, you just missed school? Well, yeah, it's hockey.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even And so now that I've been around, I'm used to it. But I don't think anybody else does it this way, and I think that helps maybe explain why Minnesota has all these good players.
Yeah, I think for sure, like the Fridays you miss a school, going to your tournaments, or you're playing for your home little town or community. I think also just the availability of ice here. You can go outside in the winter and skate. There's a rink every block, so that obviously helps too. But it's pretty cool. Obviously, just the Minnesota just continues to breed those players, and I think it's definitely the sacrifices that are made for hockey help that.
How young were you when you first got on skates?
I was 2.
2?
Yeah, I remember because my brother is 16 months older than me, and he got on skates, and I was watching him, and I wanted to do it, and I think I was 2 years old. Yeah.
Wow. And was your family had hockey background? What was the interest? What precipitated you guys skating at such a young age?
Yeah, I think it goes back to growing up in Minnesota. For me too, I think my love of the game kind of grew when I was watching my cousins, TJ and Augie Moore. They were playing high school hockey for Benilde. And I remember I got to watch TJ win a national championship, state high school hockey tournament with Grant Bessie when he had that 5-goal game. Yeah, and I mean, just like watching those guys and looking up to, you know, my cousins and being around the game a ton, like it just kind of helped me just continue to play the game.
Yeah, so you got on the skates early, you fall in love with the game, but you still have to be good at it to do what you're doing. So at what point did it kind of sink in, like, okay, I'm okay at this. I'm maybe better than most everyone else on the ice?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like when the National Team Development Program again like reached out. I was probably 14-ish, if I can remember that correctly, and they went up to my mom and they basically said, like, this kid might have to move away from home in 2 years, and my mom broke down. She's like, oh, no, we're not letting him do that. And I think that's when it kind of became a little bit more real that, you know, I could have an opportunity to play this at the collegiate level and, or even hopefully take it to the pro rank someday. But looking back at it now, I'm super fortunate to have kind of those 3 gold medals, and I'm just super fortunate for it.
What? So take me back to that. That's an interesting point. They tell your mom, hey, this kid's good enough. He can be playing potentially in the national team in a couple of years, and no parent wants their kid to move away at a young age. So how did that conversation go, and how then did it all unfold in terms of how everybody handled it?
Yeah, it was a pretty ongoing process, I'd say. I think, obviously, when that happened, my mom didn't really want to tell me about it. You know, she kind of wanted to keep it away from me because, obviously, I would want to go do that, play for the United States and stuff. But I just remember Rod Braceful. He's a scout there now. He actually drafted me to Chicago, and I give so much credit to that guy. He kind of didn't push my parents, but showed them, like, okay, these guys are doing it. They have this path, and I think he big time put me on the right path, and he showed my parents, like, you know, this is what he's going to do, and I think my parents are grateful for that too now, just with you know, what we've been able to do as a family. Yeah,
and obviously there are skills. We talk about your speed. Everybody talks about how fast you are on the ice. Was that from day one, or how much did you work on that fundamentally and skillfully and whatever else to help build the speed that you have?
Yeah, I think I always liked going fast out there. I always kind of enjoyed kind of trying to burn a defenseman or, you know, back check and catch a guy. I think that's something I always enjoyed. But a big credit goes to my skating trainer, Katie McDonough. I still work with her to this day, and she definitely took my skating to another level. And I think I started working with her. I was in high school, 7th, 8th grade. I can't remember, but huge credit goes to her.
Do you think that's what first tipped the national guys off? Is that, man, this kid can fly up and down the ice, and then you go from there? Was it the speed, or what do you think about your game caught their eye?
Yeah, maybe it was the speed. I don't know. I think I was always just I just love playing the game. I don't really know exactly why they chose me, but maybe it was the speed. I think, you know, I just liked having the puck on my stick. Maybe that showed them something, or to compete. I don't know, but worked out well.
Worked out well, yeah. First-round pick, and here you are having a starring role on this Gopher team that's ranked 3rd. Of course, the Gophers were number 1 a couple of weeks ago, so you're right in the thick of anything you want to accomplish. And hockey is one of those games that, you know, once you're out there, anything can happen, which is what makes it fun to watch. Let's take us to Ottawa. Take me through the time there and the trek that you guys had. Now, I remember asking Snuggerud last year about this time after you guys won it. He was on this podcast, and I said, you know, you're going against Michigan State guys all season. You're going against Michigan and Wisconsin and St. Cloud and UMD. But now, for a couple of weeks, you're all playing together. So how do you get on this? You mentioned the national team. Several of those guys, you know, you guys were playing together for a while. But how do you get on such a same page so quickly, and then you look across the ice and now you're throwing it to the guy that you know, or you're receiving it and trying to score from the guy that you wanted to, you know, beat the you-know-what out of just a week or two ago, right?
Yeah, I think that exactly what you just said. Like, you want to beat them up and you want to play them hard when you're playing them. I think that's what kind of brings you together when you're on the same team. I mean, you just kind of bond over the experiences you had playing each other, like, throughout the year. I mean, I know for me, like, a guy like Trey Augustine, he's a Michigan State goalie. Obviously, he's a stud, and yeah, just like talking. We played them the series before we went there, so we just were able to, like, talk about that. And I think it just brings everyone together. I think the college hockey's in such a good spot right now. I mean, we had a majority of our team was college hockey players, so yeah, I think just that really just brings you together.
I was thinking about that game against Augustine, the Friday night game in particular.
Yeah.
If it's not for him, you guys might win that game like 8-2.
I think so. It would have been a different story for sure. And then,
I mean, you'd win it for sure, but it would have maybe been blowout if it was just a normal goalie. You guys were just all over the place, and he just kept
Just he's everywhere.
He's a good player. He's a good player, no doubt.
He gets the best of us and sells into our student section for the shootout winner. It was funny. But,
yeah. And of course you love that he's on your team on 100%. Team USA. But now it's back to now it's time to beat him when you face him again. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's back to that now.
Sure. Gold medal game. You guys are down 3. Was it 3-zip?
3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the flip switches and you guys take control of the game. Walk me through kind of what the emotion was like on the ice throughout that game.
Yeah, I think they started the game off super hot, and they came out firing on all cylinders, and we knew they were going to have a push for sure. And I think once they scored that third goal to make it 3-1, you can just like sense the urgency. I mean, you can just like tell like, okay, this is do or die. We got to do this right now. And Brandon Faboda put one in, and then obviously Cole Hudson had a great shot there, and we kind of settled in after those 2 goals, and we got to go into the third with a little bit of momentum, and then the third period just kind of ping pong hockey, like kind of overtime came around, and obviously Teddy Stiga made a big time play.
That was an incredible and a fun goal, and you guys had a couple of really good chances too late in regulation, and then in the 3-on-3, and their goalie, Finland's goalie, made a couple of good stops. What was your view of the game winner?
I was right on the bench there. I think I don't know if he had just changed for me. I was maybe 2 shifts before him, but I was right. I was just watching on the bench, and then like he got that breakaway, and everyone stood up, and we're all like, oh, and then it goes in, and I mean, helmet's flying off. You don't really remember it after that, right? But
celebration is on.
Yeah, just the celebration. For sure.
The lead pass was with what's the guy from Denver? Zeev.
Yep.
He's a wild prospect, so I know there's people listening that are excited about him that might be Wild fans. He had a great tournament, didn't he? I mean, that kid can play.
He can fly around out there. He's a player for sure. I've got to know him over the last 3 years as well, and I mean, the Wild fans should just be so excited for that guy to come. I mean, he can do it all. And
now here will be, in 3 or 4 years, you'll be hoping to beat him, right? You'll be a Blackhawk, he'll be a Wild, you'll be division foes, right? and if all goes well, you'll be facing each other for a number of years.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It's crazy.
For sure.
It's crazy how it all works. Hockey's such a cool sport, and in Minnesota especially, like if you're high end, you could have a future. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're one of the top handful of players each year in Minnesota, you got a chance to be in the NHL someday, which is kind of fun,
Yeah, you definitely get a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Let me talk a quick second here about one of our sponsors. They're big Gopher hockey supporters as well. Affinity Plus is your local credit union, proudly serving Minnesota since 1930. As a current Gopher student, or if you're a proud Gopher alum, you're eligible to join a financial that wants to build a meaningful banking relationship and put you first. You can meet with a local employee at any of their branches statewide, including one right near campus on University here in Minneapolis. To learn more or find other ways to connect with Affinity Plus, you can go to affinityplus.org/GoGophers. That's affinityplus.org/GoGophers. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA, and as they say, score your goals. They're happy to make the assist, as we use hockey vernacular with Oliver Moore. And by the way, we want to thank Affinity Plus. They provided a gift card here to Oliver for his appearance on the podcast this week. So much fun. What's it like to hear the anthem? You mentioned you've won 3 golds. To be standing there with your teammates and then to see the flag go. What's that emotion for a young guy like?
Yeah, I think there's a better feeling for sure. I think for me personally, it's really just a time of reflection and of gratitude toward your family and I mean really like at the end of the day, I'm just a byproduct of the people who surround me, and I mean, you got all of our coaches who have helped me with Motzko here, Gordon and Killer, obviously. I mean, just helping me get that opportunity and allowing me to play for the United States is, it's just really a lot of gratitude toward those people and my family, and it's emotional for sure, all the hard work that you kind of put in as well, but yeah, it's a great feeling, especially just doing it with those guys.
Did you have all your family up there, a lot of family?
Yeah, they actually got to come up there, my whole family, my immediate family, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the experience like when you get to share the moment with, you mentioned the support group that has helped you up all the way from 2 years old to where you are now, to be able to share that experience in Ottawa with them? Yeah,
it's special for sure. I mean, if they're not there for me, they're those 8 a.m. practices at Mountain View, Irondale, or they're not going to my games and showing me support. I don't know if I'm there, so it's just emotional, and the people that make you who you are today. It's all about family, and I think you probably know that too. You're an announcer now, and it's all about family. It's all about your friends and your support group. So.
Yeah, you're right. It's exactly right. You always got to remember what's important. While you enjoy the ride, share it with with all the people that you care about, for sure. 100%. As you were coming up through, you're on the national team. Take me through the recruiting process. You've probably told this story before, but I think I'd like to hear it. How it went. Was it a slam dunk you were going to be a Gopher, or were there other options? Did you take a bunch of visits? How did the recruiting process go?
Oh yeah, it was a super cool experience. I think it was definitely I always obviously grew up watching the Gophers and coming to Mariucci and watching guys play, but I really took the experience and tried to look at different schools as well. And I just didn't want to come here because it's Minnesota. I wanted to pick it because we're gonna have a chance to win, and obviously the coaching staff and all the great things that Minnesota, the school, can offer. And so I talked to a couple different schools. I took a couple different visits, and I think Minnesota was one of my last visits, and it just felt like home. And going to the game, I just saw myself playing out there, and with all the great, obviously like Jimmy, and we have a great group of guys. So I'm super fortunate to have picked here.
Yeah, and from your freshman year last year to now your sophomore year, what's the first from national team to freshman year of college? What was that transition like? And then how much more comfortable do you feel this year? Because it just looks like you're just feeling it, like it's just like you're out there. Not that it wasn't last year, but
for sure.
Freshman to sophomore year, what's the growth like been for you?
Yeah, I think it's just gaining that extra experience. You go in as a freshman, and it's like the college experience as well. You're going to class and all that. For me, I was online at my last years of high school too, so I was just kind of getting back in the swing of things that way. And I think it's just that adjustment for sure. And then obviously the pace of play is a little higher. Every game in college hockey feels like a playoff game, especially the second half. Just coming up with the pairwise and everything, you want to put yourself in a good spot. So I think realizing that and just gaining that experience in those big time games kind of help me this year feel a little bit more comfortable and feel like I can take another step. So
yeah, and you mentioned every week. Now you're through kind of the non-conference. Now you missed the Mercyhurst series, but Gophers are able to take care of business in your absence. And now it's the Big Ten resuming, and there's no weaklings in the Big Ten, right? From here to the end to the tournament, you guys are going to have to bring your A game each night if you want to get a win, right?
Yeah, that's the great thing about college hockey. You got to earn it every night, and that's why it feels so good to get 2 wins at the end of the weekend. Is you earned it, and like you said, the rest of the season is going to be a battle, but it's exciting.
Yeah, and there's this Gopher program, I think, especially in the last couple of years, has had kind of this relentless nature about it, where there's a point of the season where you're pretty certain you're going to make the tournament. Unless you go totally in the tank. So the question then is, how do you just every night make sure you bring it? Because if you don't, you're probably not going to win. But there has been, I think, a really cool, I'm not saying it didn't used to exist, but particularly here maybe the last couple of years, just this relentless every weekend, every night, we're just going to get after it.
Yeah, I think for me it was the leaders that we had last year on the team, like Jackson Nelson, Bryce Baudzinski, obviously Nevers and Kester, and there were so many guys. They just kind of instilled that in me right away. Is the expectation of this program is to win a national championship, and I think also the expectation is we want to keep fans in that building and we want to keep winning for them and make it exciting. So, the fans are everything to us, and I think that that expectation that they have on us is healthy, and it's a healthy expectation for us to kind of live up to as well. But I just think it's we want to be a national championship team, and anything less of that is kind of disappointment.
Motzko's talked about you guys' off season. He felt that in his time here, maybe this past summer was the most impressive off season that any of his teams have had. I think even cited the year before, it was just so much stuff. The Frozen Four, they made the championship game. You were at the draft. There was just so much going on. There was training camps and prospect camps, but he seemed to think that this past summer was different, that everyone was kind of more on the same page, and the weight room was a important aspect of it. It was emphasized.
Yeah, for sure.
You agree with all that? That the off season was just key to maybe getting off the ground running here?
Yeah, I think the off season was kind of why we started the season off so hot. My freshman year, I remember I probably came in like 3 weeks before school started, and I was just like getting into the lifts and kind of getting into like the locker room, but we made it a point like we wanted guys to be in working out and creating that bond in the gym, like going through that hard time together. And I think that's kind of why we started off the season like we did. We we put in work this offseason with the freshmen, sophomores, everyone was in there, and it's kind of special to see it. The hard work pays off. So.
Think about that previous summer, right? I'm trying to remember. You had a whole bunch of stuff going on. You were at the draft. You got drafted. Was there, I think, a prospects camp? Was it even a national team, maybe?
The combine. And
a whole bunch of stuff, right?
And
so was it a relief a little bit just to worry about weightlifting and dry land and on the ice and not worry about all the other stuff?
For sure. I think that you don't want to wish that experience away, but now that this summer was awesome. Just it's a little bit more relaxed for sure, and you get to kind of focus on things you want to work on in your game, and you just get to enjoy Minnesota summer. We all love a good Minnesota summer. So
no doubt, you got to take advantage of those.
Yeah.
What was an area in the summer that you felt you needed to work on and you feel good about?
I think for me, a big part was just kind of my wall play. I think a lot of the game, obviously, you watch hockey, it's played kind of on the perimeter, and it's guys who can create space out of the walls and down low that can produce for their team. I feel like more offensively, but I think coming into this year defensively as well, just being a little bit more patient, a little bit more poised. Just that experience we just talked about earlier too. It just helps me kind of read situations a little better and jump some situations a little better. So, I think that's where my game's kind of grown.
Cal, of course, is one of the best in the country in terms of strength training. Do you feel stronger too, just generally that way?
Yeah, I was able to lift with him all summer. Yeah. So, he's the best.
Everybody wants to be trained by him, right?
Yeah, we're super, we get to do it for free,
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah, he's been part of a bunch of national teams as well over the years. And I don't know if the strength guy, if he gets a gold medal or not, but I think he's been a part of some of those both men and women international teams where he's been able to. Cal Dietz, we're talking, the strength and conditioning coach. So you guys are sitting pretty right now, 17-3-1, right in the thick of it. You look at an Ohio State. You guys got the Buckeyes this weekend, is what we were just talking about. You've got no weekends off. If you look at the preseason poll, the rankings in the preseason, everyone kind of had Ohio State as being kind of back of the pack, and there just isn't a back of the pack. No. They're 7-3. I mean, if they happen to play great hockey and pull off a couple wins, they're right there, right?
There.
So they're going to be ready to go and fire it up.
Yeah.
So what do you know of the Buckeyes? I know you're just getting back from Canada and the World Juniors, and we're talking midweek. I know at some point you'll probably get more into it, but what in terms of the specifics of the Buckeyes, but what's a key in your mind going into Columbus this weekend?
Yeah, I think obviously, like you said, it's a huge series for them, and it's a big series for us too. Obviously with the Big Ten, but I think just playing our game. I mean, we just got to keep having that relentless pursuit, like we talked about, and I don't think there's a team in the nation that can play with us. So I think if we just do that and focus on ourselves, we'll be able to kind of have a good weekend. So they've
got an interesting situation. The game gets moved up to 4:00, right?
Yeah,
Our time.
it's a football game.
They're playing the football game. They're playing Texas in the Cotton Bowl.
It's a big game.
But I think everybody in Columbus is focused on that. So they're like, well, we can't play this hockey game at the same time as that football game. So I'll be interested to see what the attendance is like, quite frankly, right? They don't draw great anyway.
Not awesome,
but I'm guessing most of their fans are either going to be at a party or in Dallas at the football game. I don't know how much crossover with hockey.
Is that on Saturday night?
And then they play Friday night.
Okay.
And so that's why the game Friday got moved up. You're playing an afternoon game at 4. It's 5 out there, 4 Minnesota time. And then you've got, I don't know, what is it, a 6:00 game, I think, Saturday, and you're hoping to get a sweep. Let me mention one more quick sponsor, then we'll wrap up our podcast here with a couple more questions on the other side for Oliver Moore, our guest on episode 154. Ice fishing is here, and it's time to hit the frozen water with OnX Fish. It's the fish app, and it's the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your confidence on the ice. You can use OnX Fish to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance that is, trophy, and keeper potential. OnX Fish also shows you hotspots, lake-by-lake regulations, private and public land ownership info, and more. And now for a limited time, you can download OnX Fish for free in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Go to onxmaps.com/fish to get more info on the app and how that is changing the game on ice. We're talking about the game on ice in regard to hockey, not fish. Are you a fisherman? Do you go out? I'm not either much. I've been out to a couple ice houses. I like to fish in the summer, but I don't have a lot of time, but if you get a fish on the line, it's always good. But we're talking the ice rink here, and we're talking Minnesota Golden Gopher hockey ranked third in the country. Big Ten resuming this weekend. We're with Oliver Moore, now a two-time gold medal winner. Generally, as you guys are now hitting this stretch run as we talk, I mean, it's January, early to mid-January. You guys want to be playing all the way into April. So what's the mindset like to have that relentless nature every week, but not just wear yourself out, just, end up, being strung out by the time you need to play your best hockey?
Yeah, I think that the load management stuff's huge now. I think, obviously, we're not going to skip any games or anything. We're going to give it our all every single week, but the beauty of college hockey is you kind of get a week to prepare and to rest your body. So, I think it's just taking care of our bodies. We're making smart decisions, and like you said, it's a long season, and we want to be playing all the way through. So, just taking care of your body and listening to Cal.
Yeah,
sure.
Let him know, or he'll let you guys know how to handle it for sure. And then from a standpoint of the Big Ten just in general, I know when you were growing up, you mentioned you were going to Mariucci and watching teams play, and back then it was the old WCHA for maybe when you were young.
Yeah.
And now the Big Ten, and I think it's taken some time, and people are still, I think some people still were wishing you'd be in the same conference as St. Cloud and Duluth and North Dakota and some of those others. That said, I think now there's enough time developing. Michigan-Minnesota's become a really good rivalry, right?
Yeah.
Michigan-Notre Dame, when the Irish come to town here in a couple weeks, that's a cachet program, and again, they're kind of surfacing the bottom of the Big Ten's still good, right? So you're going to have to play, but what do you think how the growth of the Big Ten kind of has grown here from maybe when you were young and it didn't even exist in terms of hockey to now there's some good rivalries brewing? I
think it's awesome, like you said, like the Michigan rivalry we have. I mean, the series we had at home this year, the whiteout game, was one of the most fun games I've ever played in.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, whenever we go there, they draw really well. The Kohl Center, and it's the border battle. So I think, and even then, we still got to play UMD. It's not a conference game technically, but it's just as important for us. And I think the Big Ten honestly is the best conference in college hockey, and it's just continuing to grow with Michigan State now as the number one team in the country, and it just continues to grow. So.
Yeah, you and the Spartans have kind of been trading that top spot off. I know Denver was early because they're the defending champs, and they're certainly probably going to have a say in it before it's all said and done. Sure. And others, obviously. That's the thing about hockey. There's been, in the last 10 years, there's been 2 16 seeds that have won it, right? That have come in as the last team in. I shouldn't say 16 teams. Last team in necessarily that have won it. So that's one of the fun things about hockey. But you're right. I think it's time now for the Big Ten to win a national title, right? A couple of the other leagues have been able, like last year, Michigan's in the Frozen Four. The year before, Michigan, Minnesota's in the Frozen Four, but not quite yet out of the Big Ten able to break through. So
it's our year.
And then the Gophers' year.
Yeah.
Big Ten and the Gophers. Let's hope that. St. Louis, by the way, is the Frozen Four site. So if it comes to fruition, that's not a really tough drive down there. They hosted it. In fact, last time a Big Ten team won it, I think there was no Big Ten then, but it was Michigan State. Okay. They won it in St. Louis, I believe, 2007. So here we are, and a chance to get back to St. Louis for the Gophers and the Big Ten. Couple of quick questions now about, we talked about your draft status last year, a first-round draft pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. So take me through how that relationship works. I know you've been probably now to, 2 of their prospect camps?
Yep, 2 dev camps. For them, they kind of just leave me alone a little bit during the season. They want to see me have success, obviously for myself, but for their organization as well. And I think they've been great. They have a great development staff that, if I ever need anything, I know who to talk to. And they've been great to me, honestly. And they care a lot about their players, so it's cool.
Yeah, and I guess I don't want to put you on the spot, but how much do you at all think about, okay, when is the time to jump? When is it time to go pro? How much do I want to play college hockey? I know you're in the middle of a grind here that you want to win a national title for this team, but at some point you have to look at the great view too. The overall general view. So does it weigh on you? Do you think about it?
Yeah, honestly, there's not a lot of time to think about it right now. I know that's probably a decision I'm going to have to make here at some point, but like you said, I think that if we win, my decision will, take care of itself. But you never know. I think, you got to play out the rest of the year and see how it goes. And yeah.
And you'll have teammates that have had similar discussions with their teams. You think of a guy like Snuggerud, he could have probably gone twice now, and he's come back. And then you have others like Nyes, who after I'm trying to think, was he a sophomore year? He says, it's time, and it clearly is. He's on a tear now, right? So it's kind of fun just to have that in the back of your mind and to know that that's there. And Renzel, right? He's potential future teammate.
Yeah, he's a Blackhawk prospect as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Maybe you guys can talk to each other as to how that will all work.
Yeah.
How good is he, by the way? What kind of year is he having?
Yeah, he's like completely, like, he's taken a huge step since last year, and obviously like he's like having a great year production wise, but he's also so good defensively, and just the way he like carries himself and how he plays the game it's special, and definitely fortunate to have him kind of steady back there and doing his thing.
Who would you say are the leaders of this team? I mean, I think you all have enough presence on ice. You're all smart players. You're all not taking minutes off. You're fighting hard. So I think from that standpoint, it's a well-led team. But when it comes down to it, are there 2 or 3 or 4 guys that they're the bell leaders here?
Oh, yeah. I think obviously like Mason Nevers and Mike Kester, it's their 5th year. They have so much experience with the tournament and Big Ten play and stuff like that. But I mean, we have 6 captains for a reason, obviously.
Right.
Jimmy, Chaz, and then Cal and Hughie. All those guys I'd say they're the ringleaders for sure. They kind of pull their weight, and they have experience within college hockey, and they definitely have that poise and composure about them. So.
Yeah, I'm guessing when they say something, people listen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Well, hey, it's been fun. Congratulations on the gold medals. That is so cool. Now, do you hang those up? Do you got a special frame for them?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to give away where they're at. You don't want to put that out there, but you've got they're on display someplace, I hope. Yeah. They're not like just hanging on a doorknob or something.
No, they're on display somewhere. So.
Outstanding. Well, congrats on it. It's awesome. It was fun to watch.
Thank you so much.
And continued success. And, let's go get a Big Ten and let's go get a title, right?
Let's go do it. Why not, right?
He is Oliver Moore. Our thanks to him. It's episode 154. My thanks to Gopher hockey standout Oliver Moore for joining me to share his stories and his journey with us here on the Go Gopher Podcast. I know you enjoyed that conversation, and what a bright future for Oliver. It'll be fun to see how the rest of this hockey season rolls. Episode 154 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. We're also partnered with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, a locally member-owned full-service financial invested in you. You can learn more at affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. Affinity Plus has an award-winning mobile app, so check that out as well. And Cub is a proud supporter of Gopher Athletics for over 20 years and a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm. Cub, bigger savings on the items you love. OnX Maps also sponsors the show. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and right now, please be sure to click that subscribe button to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to subscribe and free to listen at any time. And please share the link to this podcast with others so they can subscribe and listen as well. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please offer us up some positive feedback on your social media channels. We'll talk again next week.
Can you save when you shop Cub? Let's just say you might need a bigger cart. We've lowered prices so you save more. On Essential Every Day, it's easy to see the savings. Across the aisles, from pantry products to frozen foods to delicious dairy and more. Your family will love it, guaranteed, or your money back. Shop Cub and save today. My Cub, my way. See store for details.